Let's bring in former Republican Senator and Foreign Relations Committee Chairman Richard Lugar. He's here with me in studio. He's now the president of the Lugar Center. That's a nonprofit that focuses on issues like getting rid of chemical and nuclear weapons. Senator, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you here.
Thank you, Jay.
Tell us about your efforts to rid chemical weapons of Syria, to get chemical weapons out of Syria.
Well, last August, that is 2012, I was in Moscow. I made a proposal, first of all, at the Defense Department there, then in a public statement, a press conference. New York Times, Reuters, and others picked it up, as did the Russian press, suggesting that Russia and the United States had cooperated in destroying our own chemical weapons. We built this huge plant out at Sucha, for example, where even as we speak, Russian chemical weapons are being destroyed. I suggest that this is a time we both respect each other. We ought to think about the Syrian weapons, which even at that time were vulnerable to being picked up by somebody else. Now, at that time, the War Ministry was not enthusiastic about it, although they didn't forget about it. And I know this because I talked to a Russian television network this morning, and they said, well, what do you think about your idea of volving up? I said, well, that's very generous, but still, I think it's a good idea. Now,
why weren't the Russians interested? I mean, just to bring it back for our audience, obviously there is a civil war going on there for 2.5 years. The chemical weapons are scattered throughout the country, and as you say, they're not safe. Who knows who will get their hands on them? You bring this proposal to the Russians. The Russians in the U.S. have had a lot of success, thanks in part to people like you, in ending the chemical weapons and getting rid of them, destroying the stockpiles. You say to the Russians, let's get rid of the Syrian chemical weapons, and they brush it off. Why?
Well, at the time, they wanted to brush off the rest of the non-Lugar program, too. They were tired of having Americans around. They said, we don't need your money anymore, and so forth.
The non-Lugar program, just for our viewers, is the program to get rid of nuclear weapons and nuclear waste throughout the country, throughout the world, rather.
Exactly. But nevertheless, I think they've reconsidered. The Foreign Office was never quite that negative. On our side, there wasn't too much movement on the situation. And as a matter of fact, it came as a total surprise, but I think it's a transactional situation in which President Putin, President Assad, believe essentially that Assad is going to stay in Syria.
He's going to stay in power.
Yeah, so-called stability, unless something terrible happens, like an American strike or American participation. So if the quid pro quo is essentially that Syria will have to give up these weapons, which may become very troublesome for Russia in due course and the rest of the world, why, so be it. Assad stay, Putin stays. There's so far stability there. I would just say that this could be fortuitous. There is no way I can think of that all the Syrian chemical weapons would ever have been found or destroyed without there being this international push. And I would just add one further thought. That is, the United States has developed excellent technology, which has not really been commented on. Mobile units that can go out into the field and destroy chemical weapons. I'm told 5 to 25 tons a day, as a matter of fact. This is being presented as almost an insurmountable obstacle. Granted, the firing of everybody around is a problem.
And the civil war going on.
And how we work with the international community. But could the international community, for instance, say, okay, we designate Russia and the United States to take care of this. Now, those that you could not destroy in the field, we could cart off perhaps to Sucha, where the Russians are destroying in a plant that America built out there, their own chemical weapons now as we speak.
I want to ask you, in the time we have left, about, I know you've worked across the aisle with many Democrats, including then Senator, now President Obama. He's going to be awarding you the Presidential Medal of Freedom this year, and I understand you have a close working relationship. Do you understand the concerns of some Democrats and Republicans in Congress when they look at how President Obama has handled this crisis in the last few weeks? Those who say the message has not been as coherent as it should be, and the position of the United States has not been as consistent as it should be.
Well, I think this is easy to say. The facts are that quite apart from whether there's been consistency and every dotted I, some great things have happened. They may have
potentially.
Yes, potentially. The fact that this has even opened up the thought of an international peace conference again, which is really off the table likewise, quite apart from the chemical weapons, which is very serious, would not have happened without President Obama threatening the strike, saying that the international norm had been broken. Because when I was in Russia a year ago, some Russians said, well, these, after all, are the possession of the Syrians. How dare us to get into their possessions? Or they would say, they've never signed the Chemical Weapons Convention. Well, that's right. One of 5 or 7 that have never done so. All sorts of excuses. The fact that the Russians now are suggesting that this is on the table, as a matter of fact, we ought to be discussing with our aides and so forth how you do it. Now, I'm just trying to advance the situation by saying we have an underinvestment in Sucha and the program. There already is a path to get it done. And there are people at DITRA here in our own Defense Department that know how to do it now. And that really has to be a part of the argument, hasn't really come into